you can count on us. This is 7 News Good Morning Fort Sill.
Welcome to another week here on Good Morning Fort Sill.
Yeah, it's a great weekend. I had a decent weekend. I was actually up in Oklahoma City. My boys had a speed cubing competition out there. So, but yeah, we got a great show today. But first, we're going to pass it over to Ulysses Garcia with the weather. How are we looking like this? Is it a little bit cooler this week, I hope? I feel like I saw it, maybe a little bit cooler.
Yeah, we're actually going to be trending down here as we go through the first part of the week here, all associated with the frontal system. You can see some of that activity mainly just north of I-40, but we will eventually see most of this activity here by the time we make our way, say, in the next 24 hours here across the area as that front begins to push a little bit more towards the south. Right now, things are relatively quiet on our Chickasha Chamber of Commerce tower cam, and you can see, though, really nothing really happening in our area, but like you saw on the radar, most of the activity happening off towards the north. Looking at your PT forecast, 75 degrees. We're dealing with calm winds. And notice when it comes to our temperature change, already 4 degrees cooler than we were at this time yesterday in Fort Sill. As we make our way through the next couple of hours, we're not going to see our temperatures move too much. Keep it in the mid-70s. We'll warm things up in through the 80s throughout the late morning hours, eventually into the 90s. But like I mentioned before, though, we're going to have a better opportunity to see some activity as we go into tonight associated with that frontal system. And we're going to see those temperatures take a bit more of a dive. How cool will it get and how long will it last? I'll have all those details coming up.
Well, we begin today with the latest on a high-stakes summit between President Trump and President Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, President Trump still trying to broker a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio is in Washington with the details.
This morning, President Trump is preparing for a historic summit with Vladimir Putin on American soil, as questions remain about whether Ukraine's President Zelensky will attend. President Trump announcing the two leaders plan to meet in Alaska this Friday. It comes as European leaders warn the path to peace in Ukraine cannot be decided without Ukraine. The U.S. ambassador to NATO saying Ukraine's participation in the summit is possible.
There can't be a deal that everybody that's involved in it doesn't agree to. And, obviously it's a high priority to get this war to end.
But Zelensky defiant, saying, quote, there is not a single real step from Russia towards peace. That is why sanctions are needed. Senator Lindsey Graham described what that peace deal could potentially look like.
You'll have some land swaps, but only after you have security guarantees to Ukraine to prevent Russia from doing this again. You need to tell Putin what happens if he does it a third time. The timing striking. Trump announced the summit on the deadline day he's set to impose tough new sanctions on Russia if Putin didn't stop the fighting. But now Putin will visit the U.S. for the first time in nearly a decade without facing sanctions or committing to a ceasefire.
What is going to be the outcome of this? And the person who has to ask the most is, of course, President Zelensky, who is already sounding alarm bells in his commentary saying, look, nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. We're not going to necessarily accept anything you decide about us. So he's clearly worried.
The last time Alaska hosted a high-stakes diplomatic gathering was in March of 2021. That is when senior officials with former President Joe Biden met with top Chinese officials in Anchorage. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, ahead of that Trump-Putin sit-down, Ukraine's president not exactly sold on Putin's desire to end the conflict.
That's right. Vladimir Zelensky going as far as saying that the Russian president is trying to deceive America.
Our team is working with the United States of America. We do not stop communicating for a single day on how to ensure real peace. We understand the intention of the Russians to try to deceive America, and we will not allow it. I appreciate the determination with which President Trump is determined to stop the deaths in the war.
Ukrainian officials have been engaged in talks with Vice President J.D. Vance and other European counterparts during talks in the U.K. they describe as constructive.
Turning to news about Fort Sill, early Saturday morning, Fort Sill leaders, families, and friends welcomed back 4,388 Battalion from their recent deployment.
Redeployments are always good. The battalion just completed a worldwide deployment defending the skies. Our Air Defense Force is one of the busiest branches in the U.S. Army with a high demand across the globe as threats continue to expand. We appreciate their dedication and sacrifice. They will enjoy some much-needed time off after completing their reintegration training. Welcome back.
And Fort Sill showed its support for last week's Lawton Rangers Rodeo. In addition to participating in Military Appreciation Night on Friday, the installation played host to Miss Rodeo Lawton, Miss Rodeo Oklahoma Princess, Miss Rodeo Oklahoma Teen, and Miss Rodeo Oklahoma last week. The rodeo queens toured the historic Fort Sill Corral and visited the Air Defense Artillery Training Support Facility, where they learned about the installation's rich history and mission. And a basic trainee at Fort Sill recently swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States with his dad right there beside him.
So this is pretty cool, not just to cheer him on, but to make that same promise. They did it together. Brittany Crittenden from our sister station in Lubbock, Texas, has more about this father and son who chose to enlist together.
I state your full name. I, Zachary Smith.
This is 19-year-old Eli Randall.
That I will support and defend.
The man to his right, his 41-year-old father, Joshua.
To do the process together, to go to the MEPS together, and to be the father-son group that's up there in Amarillo going through all this together was pretty cool.
The Randall family lives in Levelland. Joshua has been teaching English for the last few years, and his second oldest son, Eli, just finished his senior year.
Actually, military wasn't on his radar. He was actually #1 in the South Plains for tackles. Playing Levelland football, number 14th or 15th in the state. And so we really thought he'd take a scholarship to go play football, D2 maybe. But he said if he was going to tear his body up, he might as well get a good medical education, so he decided to join the Army. He surprised us with it.
His recruiter, Staff Sergeant Seth Adkins, says Eli didn't seem super interested in their conversations during the school year.
Toward the end of the school year, though, I actually just got a random phone call from him, and he asked me if I could go meet him at his house to talk some more.
So he did, and explained the process and the benefits.
And in conversation, his dad kind of made his way over to the table we were sitting at and chimed in that it sounded like a pretty good deal, but he made the joke that he thought he was too old. Being 41 years old, he's just made the cut to get in. So I explained how it would work for him too, and had a quick conversation with his wife, called me the next day and said he was interested.
Have you ever seen anything like that happen?
Absolutely not, and it was not at all expected.
While Eli's decision to enlist was focused on education, Joshua says his reasons were different.
The benefits being immediate with health care and college and all those things that go with joining the military as full enlisted. And believe it or not, I get an instant pay raise by joining the Army based off teacher salary versus Army salary, so couldn't go wrong.
The two signed on together and stood side by side for their initial swearing in. Eli is now in basic training at Fort Sill in Oklahoma. Joshua ships out next weekend to Fort Jackson in South Carolina, but not before some future soldier training.
To go out there and go through basic training at 41 years old and be able to say, hey, I can do this, that's pretty cool.
While Eli got a big signing bonus, Joshua says the bonus for him was getting to choose to go to Germany after his training.
So here's the cool thing, married 24 years, right? I'm gonna be gone for months and months and months. And after the end of the school year, my family would join me in Germany. And my wife and I have always been planning to go to Europe for our 25th anniversary. And so that's gonna happen.
A plus, along with getting to defend our nation alongside his son.
The 97th Air Mobility Wing at Altus Air Force Base will be conducting an active shooter training exercise at Middle Rivers Elementary School tomorrow morning. Now, the main gate will be closed for approximately 10 minutes or so, starting at 9 a.m.
Base personnel and residents and visitors may also hear simulated gunfire and exercise alerts over the giant voice system between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Base services will be limited during these hours due to the complex nature of this type of exercise. Emergency response vehicles and first responders will be responding accordingly during this event. For more information or questions, you're encouraged to contact the 97th Air Mobility Wing Public Affairs Office.
Coming up, we're taking a look at what happened on this day in military history, including the last combat troops leaving Vietnam. Don't go away. Good Morning Fort Sill will be right back after this break.
This 7 News broadcast is sponsored by Southwest Buick GMC.
This just in, the town of Velma is being evacuated.
Stay connected to the team you trust your way. Get breaking news and investigations here on the 7 News app.
Mark, what are you seeing?
Right now I'm here at 2nd and F.
Instant forecast with real-time alerts here on the First Alert 7 weather app. And stream live on your TV here or watch anytime on your schedule. Download all 3 for free. Stay connected to 7 News wherever you are. 7 News, working for you every night at 5 and 6. Get ready for your day with the First Alert 7 app. Here's your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Ulysses Garcia.
Welcome back, everyone. Looking at our Jackson County Memorial Hospital Tower cam in Altus, and overall things are quiet here on this Monday morning. Most of the activity when it comes to showers and storms are more over northern Oklahoma, making its way into parts of Kansas, but we'll eventually start seeing that energy slide towards the south here over the next 24 hours. Looking at your temperatures right now, 77 in Duncan, 75 in Lawton, 78 in Altus, 78 in Frederick, 80 degrees in Childress. So overall, just been a warm night across the area. Looking at your current conditions, though, we are tracking that frontal system here, and you can see that front bringing a good amount of activity over Kansas and northern Oklahoma, but for us, though, relatively quiet. And I do think maybe a 10 to 20% chance throughout the daytime hours, but really those chances begin to ramp up going into this evening. That trough continues to dig more towards the south. We have high pressures on both coasts of the country, but for us here, we're going to be dealing with a bit of a cool down as we go throughout the morning hours. Not much happening, but as we make our way into the evening hours, we'll start introducing a few showers and storms. That's going to continue as we make our way into the overnight hours, and then we could even see a couple showers lingering as we make our way into your Tuesday morning before things begin to calm down by your Tuesday afternoon. We do have a level 1 for the chances of severe weather off towards the west. Concerns there will be 65-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. For your PT forecast at Fort Sill, we're going to be dealing with temperatures throughout the morning hours in the mid-70s, but like I mentioned before, 10 to 20% chance. Not too bad out there, but we do have those storm chances increasing more late into the day, a high of 97 degrees.
Let's take a look at some upcoming events. The Nye Library on Fort Sill will be hosting a Color and Chill, which is a free drop-in coloring session for all ages. It's taking place tomorrow from 2:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. The library provides some basic materials, but you're welcome to bring your own along too.
And kids on the installation are invited to come enjoy story time at the Nye Library. That's happening Wednesday from 11 a.m. till noon. Now, this program is aimed at toddlers to preschool-age children. They'll enjoy a story, activity, and a craft. Story time takes place every Wednesday and Friday.
Well, attention baseball fans, this Friday is Military Appreciation Night at the Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark. Active duty service members, veterans, and their families are encouraged to come out to a night of fun as the Comets take on the Albuquerque Isotopes. I always love some of these minor league baseball teams, Kyle. The field artillery coming out will be throwing out the first pitch. The game starts at 7:05 p.m. Discounted tickets can be found at the link on your screen.
Meanwhile, in Wichita Falls, the Bunker Hill Pool at Shepherd Air Force Base is inviting airmen to bring their dogs to the pool to cool off in the midst of the dog days of summer.
These are always cool events, so it's a one-day only event happening Sunday evening from 4 until 6 p.m. The cost is $1 per dog. Your pets must have a rabies tag or proof of vaccination. If you have any questions, you can contact the Force Support Team at Shepherd Air Force Base.
Well, on this day in military history, the last U.S. ground combat unit in South Vietnam, the 3rd Battalion, 21st Infantry, departed for the U.S.
That was in 1972. The unit had been guarding the U.S. Air Base in Da Nang. This left only 43,500 advisors, airmen, and support troops left in country. This number did not include the sailors of the 7th Fleet on station in the South China Sea or the Air Force personnel in Thailand and Guam. Coming up on Good Morning Fort Sill, changes may be coming to Army basic training. We'll tell you why the Secretary of Defense wants to bring back shark attacks. Coming up next.
The KSWO 7 News app.
International military headlines. Mexico's president is rejecting the use of American military forces at the southern border.
ABC's Christian Cordero reports that this news follows reports that President Trump directed the Pentagon to go after Latin American drug cartels that the administration labeled as foreign terrorist groups.
Tonight, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum adamant the U.S. will not use military force in Mexico in its crackdown on drug cartels.
Estados Unidos no va a venir a México con los militares.
Sheinbaum responding to President Trump's directive ordering the Pentagon to prepare options for the possible use of military force against certain drug cartels. Two U.S. officials tell ABC News Trump is targeting cartels they labeled foreign terrorist organizations. The president dismissing questions on any possible plan.
Latin America's got a lot of cartels. They've got a lot of drugs flowing, so we want to protect our country.
According to one U.S. official, the use of military force against cartels is not imminent. The president's directive, the latest escalation in his vow to crack down on the flow of drugs and immigration. Trump, through both terms, has sent thousands of National Guard troops to the southern border and more recently to Southern California. The administration in February designated 8 cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. U.S. officials argue the administration cannot treat them like local street gangs.
They have weaponry that looks like what terrorists, in some cases armies have. They control territory in many cases.
The designation of foreign terrorist organization gives the government more power, but it does not single-handedly allow for the use of military force. So it's unclear what exactly the administration is considering and what can be done legally. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
So Fox News is reporting that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is considering to bring back a ban, the ban that previously was banned, shark attacks, a time-honored practice used by drill sergeants during basic training.
The Army began phasing out the shark attack in recent years, and its use largely ended by 2020.
It's been replaced by the Army's First 100 program, a more structured training exercise designed to build camaraderie. Last week, Hegseth noted that bay tossing and the shark attack have been part of basic training for decades.
Okay, so when I see some of this video and listen to you describe it a little bit, correct me if I'm wrong a little bit here. The shark attack sounds like one of those scenes you see in some of these famous movies about the military.
I mean, quite frankly, it is kind of like it, right? Bay tossing, shark attack. I mean, I went to basic training in the 90s. I absolutely experienced a shark attack, and it was, I would say, an enlightening experience.
I'm sure.
I'm not opposed to bringing it back. Look, I've witnessed the First 100 program. I think it's a great program. Do I think they should bring back shark attacks? Sure. I don't know. You know, it's one of those things that it's all structured, right? It's all about inculcating soldiers into the Army. So I think either way they do it, it'll be a structured thing, and if they bring it back, and soldiers have to get used to it again.
Kind of your welcome to the Army moment.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, the U.S. Air Force has arrested an airman in connection with the death of another airman.
21-year-old Braden Lovin was killed at F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming on July 20th. According to the Air Force Times, the unidentified airman was charged with making a false official statement, obstruction of justice, and involuntary manslaughter.
Now, that incident led to the service suspending the use of the Sig Sauer M18 service pistol.
And an Army veteran accused of fatally shooting 4 people at a Montana bar a week ago has been taken into custody. The governor of Montana confirmed the news in a social media post on Friday. Michael Brown had been on the run for a full week after the shooting, sparking a multi-agency manhunt. Investigators say Brown was seen on security footage fleeing the Owl Bar in Anaconda, where the fatal shooting occurred.
Construction is underway at the U.S. Army training grounds in rural Bavaria. The German Army has broken ground on a vast Army training complex, which when complete will feature over a dozen buildings. Crews are now working on leveling the terrain and installing utilities. Construction work includes a temporary barrack, a medical support system or center, and then support facilities like maintenance, dining, and warehousing. Turning to your good news in the military, a group of veterans are kayaking the full length of the Mississippi River. Their trip is known as the Warrior Expedition.
That sounds pretty cool. So 5 veterans started their journey in Minnesota. It will eventually end in New Orleans. They say long-distance outdoor expeditions like this one are a great way to improve mental health. They've picked up plenty of support along the way.
I'm at 1,023 miles since beginning of the trip up in Minnesota, and this has been absolutely amazing. The supporters that we have all down the Mississippi are absolutely outstanding on taking care of us.
Here's your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Ulysses Garcia.
And good morning and happy Monday, and checking out over our Duncan Regional Hospital tower cam. Really not much happening. Like I've been saying throughout the show, a lot of those storms are well off towards northern Oklahoma, making its way into parts of southern Kansas. But for us, though, we're kind of just right now just dealing with just some quiet weather. And as we go throughout the morning hours, we're not expecting much, maybe a 10 to 20% chance of a shower. But by the time we make our way towards the mid to late afternoon, that's when we could start introducing a few showers across the area. And especially as we make our way into this evening, that could even carry on into the overnight hours with a chance of showers and storms, and that could even progress as we make our way into your Tuesday morning before those rain chances begin to die off as we go into your Tuesday afternoon. The chances of your weather will be a little bit greater off towards the west. Level 1, Elk City, Altus, Vernon, and Childress. And the concerns here are going to be quarter-size hail, 65-mile-an-hour wind gusts are going to be, and there's also that low chance for flooding as well. So just make sure to be weather aware, especially for those western communities, say Childress and Altus, that do have those opportunities. Looking at your morning PT forecast at Fort Sill, temperatures in the mid 70s here through sunrise, and then we'll start warming things up into the upper 70s already by 8 a.m., around 80 by 9 a.m. But overall, 10 to 20% chance of a shower storm, and for the most part, just a mix of sun and clouds. 97 degrees for today, so we're finally going to be under triple digits for this afternoon. Isolated storms possible as we make our way towards the afternoon period into the evening. Winds relatively light out of the southeast and south at 5 to 10. Sunset at 8:25. Going into tonight, scattered showers and storms, and there's that potential for an isolated strong to severe one. We'll have an easterly wind eventually changing out of the north at 5 to 10 miles an hour. And as we look at your 7-day forecast here, we are going to see those temperatures drop down to 92 degrees by Tuesday. But notice those temperatures are actually going to be average after that, Thursday through Sunday. Only 10% chance of a shower Wednesday through Sunday.
Hey, even if it's brief, I'll take the brief cool down.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching. Good morning, Fort Sill.